Well, good morning, Wareham. It is Friday the 19th. Not Friday the 13th. Jeez, I would love for it to be Friday the 13th. But anyhow, we have a great show here for you. The news headlines, the weather report, and today in history. Our weekly news correspondent, aka your favorite Russian, is in the building to digest this week's news and events. And also Kendra Bond talks about Peace for Ponies and a great event for you and your family this weekend. Also, Sandy Slavin is in the studio to talk about sump pumps. But first, I would like to take this moment to thank Not Your Average Antiques, an antique shop down Cranberry Highway in East Wareham, for donating the props that you see in the morning show. So stay tuned because the weather and the news headlines are next. All right, so today clouds and sunshine are going to be dancing together all day long. High at 83 and low at 74. They said that tomorrow, this is during the weekend, it's going to be very hot, but my numbers do not show the same case for down here in Wareham. Tomorrow is going to be high at 92, mostly cloudy skies, low at 76. And on Sunday, intervals of clouds and sunshine, a stray shower or thunderstorm is a possibility. High at 94, variable clouds with scattered thunderstorms at night with low at 72. So maybe you may need that air condition. I do not know. I don't have mine up yet. We'll see. Okay, so now we're going to take the news follows. All right, so Wareham Week had the following stories. A two-story single-family home in Onset located at 74 12th Street will be up for sale, and also a half-acre triangle-shaped land parcel located at 0 Charlotte Furnace Road will be a second item of interest during the town auction. The auction will take place on Wednesday, July 24th, at noon, with the bidder registration beginning at 11:30 a.m. Also, the Wareham Board of Health has announced that Briarwood Beach will be closed until further notice. The beach water sample from July 16th did not meet the geometric mean sampling standards. So until further notice, stay away from Briarwood Beach. That's all for today's news, but do not worry because we have Nadia here to talk more about the week's news and events, and we'll be back after this short break. Okay, so the time has come. Today is Friday, which means Friday is the day we get to speak with our favorite Russian. That is Nadia Karitnikova, our weekly news correspondent in the studio to digest this week's news and events. Welcome, Nadia.
Hi, Queen.
Hi. You and I took a lovely field trip yesterday.
Yes, exactly.
To Malden.
Mm-hmm.
So far away.
Yes, but it was still, it was fun, nevertheless.
It was fun, nevertheless.
Yes.
Okay, and we discovered that you also have road rage.
All right, against some stupid drivers.
I didn't know this, but we're both cursing the same people.
I know, yes. Some people, I feel like they're just driving this bad on purpose to piss other people off.
To piss other people off. All right, so Nadia, so we are here to talk about, we have the Richard Brown tennis courts that are undergoing major renovations.
Correct.
We covered that story, it was very extensive, so tell us what's happening there.
So as of July 10th, the Richard Brown course at the Hammond Playground Station in Onset, they're undergoing extensive renovations. And they're expected to last until end of August, hopefully.
Okay.
So what renovations include? There are currently 2 tennis courts and 1 very bad baseball court. By the end of renovations, all these courts will be renewed, and there will be only 1 tennis court, and 4 pickleball courts.
Oh, so they're going to dissolve other tennis courts?
Just 1, yes.
Oh, okay, just 1. All right. So they are changing the nets, basketball, right? They're changing those nets as well?
Renewing, yes. Yes, the nets.
Okay.
I think they're adding the lights as well, making it handicap accessible.
So how important are these playgrounds, I should say? Who uses them? How popular are they?
Well, as of now, because these courses are about Boys and Girls Club, kids are using them.
Okay.
But when they were more or less usable, Onset residents used them as well. But they had to bring their own equipment.
Oh, all right. So now when they go there, if you're part of the Boys and Girls Club, you get the equipment from the club?
I believe yes, yes. But if you're just playing alone, you have to bring your own stuff. But the problem is that these courts are in such a dire condition that they give the neighborhood very bad look. And I spoke to some of the residents. They're saying that these courts attract some unwanted people, like homeless people, people who abuse drugs, because this is a very neglected area. And once it's renovated, it's going to look very nice. All these people are going to use it, and it's going to beautify the town.
Well, how is the scenery around the courts? How is the scenery around the courts? I mean, did they mow the lawns? I mean, is it a lot of vegetation?
Yes, a lot of vegetation. So a lot of trees grow around the fence right now, and it's going to take a lot of effort and I suppose money to get rid of the vegetations along the course, because they're just like growing all over the fence right now.
Now they have approved a budget of $50,000.
Correct, as of spring 2019 town meeting. Correct.
Does it cost that much?
It costs actually. It does cost that much actually. This is just the money to renovate just the courts. So yes, it's going to take that much money.
Why so? I mean, bring people there with paint, brushes, and start painting, and bring ladders and put a new net. How hard can it be?
Well, first of all, I want to add that also Scotty Monteiro Foundation donated $7,000 additionally to renovate the baseball court specifically. So the problem is that these courts are in very dire conditions. They're huge cracks right now.
Oh, so they need new foundation.
Yes, there's going to be new coating, coating on the courts.
Okay.
Because the cracks are so huge right now that obviously if ball bounces on the ball, falls on the crack, is going to bounce in a different direction and it's impossible to play.
Oh, okay.
Also, the permanent nets are going to be installed, which is also quite expensive.
Now, are they using, is the foundation, the floor, especially basketball or even tennis, is it pavement or is it special
cement
material? Okay.
Yes,
cement?
I thought it was going to be a rubber material, but it's cement, yes.
Okay.
There's going to be a new layer of cement.
So I know that the neighbors are thrilled about this idea. Do we know how long it's going to take?
Well, until the August.
Okay.
Yes. This is what I've been told. But, but my first question was, is it August next year?
Yeah.
They were like, no, August of this year. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay. So how did they tell you how they're going to upkeep?
No, actually, this is actually correlation of Wareham core group and just the citizens who are volunteering. I don't know how they're going to. I don't know yet. I need to ask this question. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so now we're moving on to a man hit by a train. Tell me, what time did you have to wake up to go to cover this story?
It's actually happened at about 9 p.m., 8 p.m. on Saturday. But we found out about this at 9 p.m.
What happened?
So a man, 41-year-old Wareham man, was hit by a train at the Halfway Street.
Okay.
It's a Cape Cod flyer. Do you know about this?
Yes, I read it, the piece from you, yeah.
Yes. And,
who was this man apart from he's 41 years old?
Well, we don't know because his name was not released.
Do we know if he's homeless? Do we know if
he was not homeless. As a matter of fact, the friend of the victim's family later posted on Twitter that he actually used the track all the time as his path to home.
So he walks on the tracks, or he walks along the tracks, or he crosses the tracks? What does he do?
No, he walks along the tracks. I don't know, maybe this time he was walking on the tracks. But he always uses the tracks to go home.
Is he deaf?
I don't know. No, probably not.
How can you not hear the train? Not to be cynical, but
I understand. I understand what you mean. Maybe he was listening to music, but I don't know about it as well. I'm really curious about this. How you cannot hear the train, especially at night when it's quiet.
Okay, so the family went to defend that this man was not homeless or abusing drugs and so forth. The typical.
They specified that he was sober. And he was airlifted. He was first brought to Toby Hospital where he was stabilized, and then he was airlifted to Boston Hospital.
Okay. All right. Do we know his condition?
Critical, but he's, quote, fighting for his life, according to the press.
Fighting for his life.
Twitters, yes.
What are the repercussions when you get hit by a train? Do we know? Who sues who? Is there a lawsuit? Does family get some money? Who pays for the medical bills, or is this mainly your fault? Is the town liable at all in any sort here?
I need to follow up on that. That's a great question, but I would suggest no, because it seems to be a common sense to not walk on the tracks.
Suppose the common sense is not so common. All right, so then we have Peter protesting during Saturday pig roast. Great pictures. There was another fella out there standing with the green sign saying the pork was delicious.
No, that pig was delicious.
You had some?
No, that was the sign said.
Oh, okay.
That pig was delicious.
What did you stay to eat some food?
No, I didn't.
Oh, why not?
I just was too busy. I went back to write the article.
Without bringing your own plate? Oh my goodness! I'll bring my own laptop there and write.
No, you bring Tupperware, right?
Yeah, I know. I always carry them everywhere I go. So tell me about the event. How successful was it?
Oh, it was very successful. So it started at about, I would say, 10 a.m. and lasted until 3 p.m. And the line was huge until the event was closed. The line to the buffet was huge, all the time. It didn't dissolve at any time during the event.
And people ate fully, or they gave you a little portion?
No, they ate a lot. Not to shade them, but they did. And there was a huge pig that was roasted on the fire. It was a disturbing view, to be honest, but people enjoyed it.
So was this like a barbecued pig, or the pig was just plain, and then you do whatever you want?
No, I'm sorry, not barbecue. It was roasted.
Roasted.
The whole huge pig was roasted as a whole, pig. They didn't even cut it. It was roasted as a whole pig.
Holy
yes,
jita.
And then they cut off the pieces of this pig.
Who ended up with the pig head?
I don't know, actually.
Or pig feet?
I don't know.
All right, so then town is planning to enforce some bylaws.
Yes, exactly. So I need to find out more information about this, but my editor visited the selectment meeting on Tuesday, and selectmen said that they're going to enforce bylaws because apparently people don't follow them as much as they should. They didn't quietly specify how they're going to enforce it. I suppose they're going to increase the fines, but I want to find out more about this.
There's also the initiative of through enforcing, that is to put fines on that particular person for a violation until they resolve that fine.
Right.
Until they resolve that
Yeah,
violation.
so each day you would be fined
Yeah.
for the day you violate this bylaw.
And these fines are not like $1, $2.
Exactly, and it takes a while. I think it's not quite fair because it takes a while to resolve the issue that you have, and even you might have the desire to not break the bylaw, but it might take time to actually stop breaking bylaw.
So you're sympathetic to people who are committing crimes. Unbelievable.
Well, maybe some people just don't follow up with bylaws, and because there's so many.
Yes, oh my.
Yes.
Does this make you question what to do or how to do things before you do them in the town? So just to check your bylaw books to see what rules you are breaking? Or your life is not that complex yet?
Yeah, I believe so. My number is not, I just wake up, work, eat, fall asleep.
And fall asleep. The perfect,
Repeat. So I think I'm not breaking bylaws by now.
Well, Nadia, thank you so much for being here this
Thank you,
morning. And what are you covering this weekend?
Well, tomorrow I'm covering 55th annual summer art show on 495 Main Street.
Okay, very good. Are you going to Scott Records event tomorrow night?
Yes, I'm coming.
Oh,
yes.
Fantastic. As a reporter or?
Yes, yes.
Ah, okay. Well, I will see you then. I'll see you there.
I'll see you, of course.
All right, so that was our weekly news correspondent, Nadia Karitnikova, here to talk about the week's news and events, and also she'll be at the Scott Records event tomorrow night to cover it. For now, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more. And when we talk about toys special for children with autism, what do we mean by it? How are they different?
So they're sensory-based toys. So they can, like the jewelry, they can chew on it.
Okay.
And it's made for that. Or the lap pads, they're weighted, and the animals, they're weighted. And children with sensory, some of them, the weight calms them. Some of them need compression. Some of them need weight. Some of them need something cold. So it's a matter on finding what works for what kid.
Now, you're not only a businesswoman, but you also, as I said, a mother with 2 children with autism. I mean, tell me how effective these toys are. How diverse are they?
They really are great. I don't think getting through meltdowns and things like that would be possible without these toys. It would definitely be more overwhelming for parents without them. Like my son, when he has a meltdown, we have some Muddy Cove healers over there, and I put mine in the freezer. And when you put those on him, he calms down. And if that doesn't work, then he goes in his chair, swing in his room, and we swing him. And then he starts laughing, he forgets, he refocuses, and
So tell me about piercing it together. Where does that name come from?
well, a puzzle piece.
Okay.
Everybody creates a puzzle piece with, thinks a puzzle piece with autism, and it pretty much is that. You're piecing your life together in different little pieces. You're always here, there, and everywhere as a parent, so piecing it together.
And what should people understand about autism and parents with children with autism?
Just because you know one child with autism doesn't mean you know autism. Every child is different. And if you see someone having a meltdown, don't judge them, because that's the biggest thing that parents get is judged. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And every child's different, so.
All right, and welcome back. This is Good Morning Wareham. With me, do not get confused, this is not the coffee segment, but we're utilizing the area. With me is Jim Gilbert, the Chair of Sewer Commissioner, here to talk about sump pumps. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
And I did, in the beginning, I did say that Sandy Slavin was going to be with us, but I did not look at my phone, and she brought me Jim, so it's just as good. She said to me, could we have a Friday without the Slavins? That's what she said.
That may be a real plus.
That may
by
be a
itself,
real-
you know.
Well, dear, I'm so glad you're in the studio, and I'm really glad to meet you. So this is a
You don't
hot.
know me.
You
would
don't
say that.
Oh well, I'm feeling the vibes, and I trust the vibes. So the sump pumps. A great article, Wareham Week reported that we're having issues with our sump pumps.
Well, we're having issues. That happens to be a state law, and there's a town bylaw that prohibits sump pumps from being discharged into the sewer system. And the reason for that is that the sump pumps are discharging essentially clean water. That goes down to the plant, and now we're treating clean water, which we shouldn't have to. And by having to treat the clean water, that reduces the capacity of the plant. And with the growth that Wareham has been experiencing in all areas, we need the capacity. Bourne, for example, is putting in a small plant of their own because we don't have the capacity to give them. They want more. Now, this is only going to continue on, and the sump pumps are a cause of this because of what's being put in. Secondarily, the sump pumps being put in, we had lined the pipe going down to Swiss Beach And in the process of the lining of the pipe, even though we had gone around door to door telling people if they had sump pumps to shut them off, disconnect them, don't use them, 3 of them remained on during the lining process. And as a result, instead of the lining being smooth throughout the pipe, they wound up with 3 places where instead of it being around like that, there was this thing coming in. The lining that was put in the pipes gets put in at a low pressure. Sump pumps produce water out at a higher pressure. Therefore, they push the lining out. The lining set. We had to go back in and grind those places out. Bottom line was the cost increase to the contractor was in excess of $70,000.
$70,000.
American money. Yes.
Do we know who are these
Yes.
people? So what are we doing with it?
Well, the way it happens at this particular situation, this is kind of in the contractor's lap because he did not back charge us the money that he could have. So it's up to him whether or not he decides he wants to sue these people for the money. And there are cases on record where that he is legitimately able to do that. This has happened in the past other places. So what we're trying to do is get the word out to everybody. First of all, there's a bylaw that prohibits any discharge or runoff from downspouts, etc., to go into the wastewater treatment. The only thing that's supposed to be going in there is what's coming out of your sink or your dishwasher or your toilet or laundry, etc. Any other discharge goes somewhere else. We can't have it going into the system. And because of that situation that developed down there, we will be lining more pipes in more areas in town as we go along. And there are some pumps in almost every area in town. And there is no prohibition against sump pumps. The only prohibition is the discharge of where the discharge goes. The discharge can go on your lawn, it can go, wherever you want it to go, basically. It just can't go down the drain into the sewer system.
Do we have records of everybody with sump pumps?
Unfortunately, we do not. And we've been discussing this at the meetings ad nauseum and trying to come up with a direction to go. And it looks like what we may start doing is just go around door to door with somebody and say, do you have a sump pump, and would you let us in to inspect? And if they let us in, that's fine. If they don't, then that's somebody that we're going to have to look at how are we going to handle it. There has been discussions about if we can't get in and inspect and find out that you do or do not, that you don't have a sump pump, then we're going to assume you do have one, and we're going to charge you.
So for everybody with a sump pump, they will be charged?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the dollar amount hasn't been determined at this particular point in time. Because, as I say, right now, there's a cost to all of the ratepayers for these people that are pumping into the sewer system to just treat the water that comes into it. As I say, plus the fact that the water coming in that doesn't need to be treated, that shouldn't be there in the first place, decreases the volume that we can handle in the plant. Now, we've got a certain finite amount that we can do based on our discharge rate by the EPA. And this cuts into what we can do. So that cuts into it. It means that's one less house that can be built, or one less business that can go in, or whatever. So it's a domino effect.
How long have we been, the Commissioner, have been fighting or looking at this issue? How long has this issue been a problem in the town of Wareham?
Well, this issue has been a problem in the town of Wareham for probably 20 years. But it's coming to a head more so now because the state is becoming more active in it. And also now with the lining of the pipes and seeing what damage the sump pumps will do to that lining. The lining of the pipes is expensive. However, it's a lot cheaper than digging up and replacing. So that's why we have opted to go this route instead. The longevity is as good, if not better, than replacing with new.
Okay. You, from presenting the story, did you feel any distrust from the community? I mean, reading from the comments, and these are online comments, but people are saying that it's not the problem about the pumps, but rather than the plant cannot handle, or maybe the pipes are very old. So people are a little not trusting the full information.
Well, they don't have the full information. That's the biggest part of the problem. The sump pumps are a problem. Do we have a problem with pipes? Yeah, that's why we're lining pipes. The option to lining the pipes is digging them up and replacing them. The lining is able to repair, if you will, for lack of another term. With the lining that's being used, the system that's being used, it strengthens the pipe. It's got a longevity of approximately 50 years. Seals leaks because it just covers the stuff over. Instead of winding up with pipes that are joined together, as you see most of the time with the pipes, now you have one continuous flow. You know, the input is where the houses feed into it.
And we can tell who is abusing. We can tell, right? How can we tell that?
We camera the lines, so when you've got the rains coming in, when flow is coming from your house that does not have a sump pump, it comes in when you're using the bathroom or the shower or something like that, and it's a steady flow. When the sump pumps come on, they pulse. And they come in at a higher pressure so that if you're in the process of, you can see where it's coming in, where it's pulsing, where it's coming, where it's above the normal flow from a house.
Do we know how much those who are going to be breaking this bylaw, how much they'll be fined and how quickly?
At this point, that's still
negotiable.
Yeah, it's a fungible number running around.
Why are we still negotiating while we clearly know who is breaking the law and how much it is costing us?
Well, we don't know who. We know these three because those were identified at the time. We haven't gone through the camera to identify the others. We would prefer to be able to, basically send out a notice and have people disconnect and do it on their own. Obviously, some won't. I'm sure there are some out there that where houses have turned over may have sump pumps buried in their basements that just work on and off whenever, excuse me, whenever it's necessary, and don't even realize they have them.
Do you feel compelled to make an example?
No, I'm really not looking forward to making an example. This isn't the idea of this at all. The reason nothing has been done like on a hammer and tong basis to get this done is because we're trying to find alternatives for people. Where do you discharge it? Some people have got very small lots and they can't discharge it into their living room. That wouldn't be practical. And they may not have much yard space. So, we're trying to come up with alternatives. At the moment, we don't have any good ones. But having said that, at the same time, we've got a situation there that we'd like to get under control, i.e. the sump pumps, where they are in direct violation of the bylaw, they're in direct violation of the state regulations on it. So we would like to get it cleaned up to the best of our ability without having to make examples of anybody.
When is the next step, the next meeting, or what is the next step that you're working on at the moment?
Well, one step we're working on right now is to try to find an alternative. We were talking about stormwater remediation in that manner into the street, but that's still a quasi on whether or not we can even do it. We haven't gotten any kind of a answer through EPA, which is still out there. I mean, that will be, they're the big cop on the street. You know, so.
Well, this just hearing from you today, it sounds it's as a simple matter, at the same time not so simple, and from what I get is you're not looking to make an example of a resident, rather than looking at why they're doing this, giving them a benefit of a doubt. Maybe they're doing this because, as you said, they don't have the lot, they don't have a place to discharge this waste, and finding out different ways, alternatives to how they can effectively do so without hurting the pumps.
That's what we're trying to come up with. You know, hey, I believe in Santa Claus too, but let's see which one wins.
Well, I thank you so much for being in our studio. I learned a lot, and you really did give me some specifics that I lacked from my conversation with Alan Slavin last week.
With who? Excuse me?
Well, this is my guest, Jim, the chairman of the Sewer Commissioner, here to talk about sump pumps. And he was able to provide us with some specifics this morning that we lacked, and there was a lot to be done. So I'll keep you informed, and we will welcome you again some other time. Absolutely. So you can, keep us informed. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more. Well, hello, and thank you for being with us this morning. We're broadcasting live from our WCTV studio. This is Good Morning Wareham, your source for local news, weather report, and more information. And now for a moment in history, let's take a look at where we were today in history. Well, on this day in the world history, in 1799, the Rosetta Stone was found by a French soldier in Egypt. The French ended up claiming it as their own, only to lose it to England after Napoleon was defeated in 1801. The Rosetta Stone had 3 languages inscribed on it: ancient Greek, Egyptian hieroglyphics, and Demotic, that was used to later on decipher and translate Greek languages. And also today in history, this is Massachusetts history, we're looking at 1779. The Commonwealth launched the Penobscot expedition. This was an attack launched without permission of the Continental Congress that aimed to capture 750 British troops located on the Penobscot Peninsula in what is now known as Maine. Well, the attack was a huge failure on us, and British lost only 13 men, while United States lost 500 men and many, many ships. Also today in history, we are looking at 1848 when it was the first Seneca Falls Convention, which was a women's rights convention held in America, led by Lucretia Mott and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. So this convention had 200 women in attendance on that day. Stanton read the Declaration of Sentiments and Grievances. This, of course, kickstarted the whole women's rights movement, women's suffrage movement. So that's all for today in the history segment. To learn cool historical facts, please go online under history.com. We do not have a coffee segment today, but we have a shorter video at the end of the day. But first, let's look at Stephen Miller at the library talking about children books.
Welcome to the 3rd installment of July's Checkout of the Week at the Wareham Free Library. Today, I'm joined by Marcia Hickey, our children's librarian. Welcome, Marcia.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So I asked you here today because I have some things that are going on with the children's area this summer. Tell me about your summer reading program and all the different activities that you have for children.
Okay. Well, summer reading program is the highlight of the year. And we do an 8-week summer reading program. Right now, we're finishing up week 3. Tonight, as a matter of fact, we have a newish program that we do, cooking with middle schoolers.
It's called Cooking Adventures, right?
Cooking Adventures. So we're going to do our second one because the first week or the middle week was 4th of July, so we didn't have it. And that's turning out to be tons of fun. They're so enthusiastic. But the whole summer reading program, we call it Garden of Opposites, and we focus in our children's garden a lot. So on Mondays we have story time at the Spinney Memorial Branch at 10:30, and then Tuesdays and Wednesdays we have story time here at the main branch. Starts at 9:30, and we bring the children and their families out into the garden, do a variety of activities. We water, we look at how things are growing, like our peppers are really growing, little tomatoes are growing, and we pick things. So the first week we did opposites of like sweet and spicy. And so we had the kids clip all sorts of herbs And then we had 2 oils. We had a grapeseed oil, which is sweet, and an olive oil, which is tart. And we cut up the herbs and we put the sweet ones in the grapeseed and the tart ones in the olive oil. And then we had homemade bread, and we had the kids try bread with dipping oil.
That's awesome.
And see the difference. And most of those children are small, so they've only had butter on white bread.
Yeah.
After the garden, we come in, we do story time. And story time consists of singing and bubbles and rhymes and musical instruments. And lots of times we end with parachute play. The kids really like that.
Yeah.
And then we go into the activity room, we do crafts. And after the crafts are finished, we have the children wash their hands, because we talk about cleanliness with food and food preparation. And then they help us make that. So we have the oil ready, and we ask them to put in the herbs. We ask them to shake in Parmesan cheese and mix it up, and they're part of it. Even we have mint, and so we have them pick the mint and put it in lemonade or put it in water so it sweetens the water.
It's the garden of opposites.
So many different things, because opposites is a concept even little children can understand. So we do 8 weeks of that type of programming. Yesterday we had something special because we had the Wareham Gatemen come.
That's right.
And read to the children. But we still did garden time, and part of the opposites, we were talking about seeds versus plants, young versus old. And we took them in back of the library to one of our neighbors, and he raises chickens. So the kids saw the chickens and got to feed the chickens.
But they also got to see the eggs.
They got to see the eggs, which are really cool because they were larger than normal eggs, and they were different colors. They were green eggs, so like for St. Patty's Day, green eggs and ham. But, the first story the Gateman read was first the egg. So
Yes.
it started out with first the egg, then the chicken.
Yep.
And they went through a whole thing of opposites.
Yep.
And they were great readers. We had great Gateman players. And the kids understood the concept.
Yes.
They had actually seen it. So part of our snack on that day was we took eggs, and the kids got to use the egg slicer to slice the eggs.
Yes.
Tiny
Yes,
slices,
yes.
Put it on bread.
You alluded to it earlier. You had the Wareham Gatemen here yesterday, and they're going to be back here on Wednesday, the 17th. And
Yes.
it's just, I actually, I work for the Cape Cod Baseball League as a scorekeeper, and I can tell you the baseball that these Cape League teams play is incredible.
Yes, it is.
And so the opportunity for children to come and to actually, have stories read to them, to how play games and to get autographs signed and things of that nature. It's just such a unique opportunity for them.
And I try to emphasize to the children, because we get a variety of ages at the Gateman Storytime.
Yes.
I try to really emphasize that these are college students.
Yes, student athletes.
Exactly.
They're student athletes.
Exactly, because I ask every single player what school they go to, what year they're in, and to tell the children they need to get a good education, even if they're focusing in on sports.
Absolutely.
Part of it.
Absolutely. I think we've been bombarded with children and teenagers asking us about books they need for the summer reading list.
Yes, we make a real concerted effort to make sure we have copies of every book on the summer reading list.
But if-
multiple copies. But this year, we're excited because the library has been recertified. And because of that, the previous couple of years, 3 or 4 years, the kids in Wareham could only get Wareham books or Swansea books. This year, they can order books from anywhere in the network.
Yes,
So
that's right.
even if our copies of, I don't know, what's a summer reading book right now?
The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman.
Yes. If that book is checked out, even though we have 4 copies, we can still get multiple copies throughout the system.
And we have copies at the Spinney Library, of course.
Yes, we try to buy copies for the summer reading books and put them at the Spinney Library for our onset residents who it's convenient. And also, in onset, we get a lot of summer people in the summer cottages, and those families want their kids to read too during the summer. So they're looking for their summer books
Yep.
on their list.
Well, Marsha, thank you so much for taking some time out to join us here on today's program.
You're very welcome, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, more continues. with our last few minutes of the show. So now we're going to watch my favorite video, that is Seekers, which is a furniture store located in Buzzards Bay that refurbishes furniture. Either you can buy theirs or you can bring your own, and they can turn it, transform it into a beautiful, gorgeous piece of furniture to your liking. So here is a little bit about Seekers. A tale of an old furniture with a fairy tale ending. Just a little scent of love mixed in with a dash of ingenuity, and voila, an antiquated furniture transformed. Seek the enchantment at 111 Main Street in Buzzards Bay. At the entrance to Cape Cod lies Seekers, a resale store featuring upcycled, contemporary, antique, and unique home offerings. From painted leather to the newest furniture trends, the showroom will take your breath away.
Well, I take pride in getting pieces that no one else has. When you look around here, you'll be able to see there's a few unique pieces. There's a lot of people's pieces that we haven't even touched yet because we want someone to come in, fall in love with it like we did.
Diane Annan Benson had a successful career in Switzerland, playing professional basketball.
22 years in Switzerland. It's a perfect country. I had a perfect husband. It was all wonderful and great. I had some great...
And after 22 years of acclaimed life, she returned home to Massachusetts. While working in the house rehabilitating business, she saw an opportunity. Years later, she opened Seekers in 2014 in Wareham before relocating the store to Buzzards Bay.
The reason we started this whole business was because we were running into furniture that people were leaving behind, and it was so beautiful, too beautiful to leave it behind. So we came up with this concept to refinish, refurbish, repaint.
Now reaping the fruits of her hard work, she confesses it wasn't easy starting up, but her faith kept her going.
They told me that no one would come over the bridge. No one from Cape would come over the bridge to come to Seekers, and they are.
Alongside her sister, Donna Grant, and a close friend, Tamara Crosby, the store embraces handcrafted work featuring local artists around the region.
I see you.
Through upcycling, Seekers helps people hold on to their family heirlooms.
A lot of things that are happening right now is the younger generation is inheriting their grandparents' furniture that was in the basement, and they're feeling kind of sad about getting rid of it, so they call us and they say, what can you do for us?
Yeah.
And we just sit down with them and we come up with a color scheme, and we end up sending them home, and they're happy, and we're happy too. This is the newest piece we've just finished. I wish it was in better light, but this is a piece that we had in the store forever, and it was not painted. And someone came in and said, I've looked at your piece. I want to have it painted a special green. This is almost called emerald green, but we actually made this color. My sister, she's a color artist, so she made the color for us. And then we painted it and added the knobs, and we have one beautiful piece that you can't buy anywhere else. This is an old cedar chest that everyone has one of these in their basements today. And we get them out of the basement. This is painted gray with a dark wax on it. And this is called decoupage. This is the newest thing right now. It's all hand cut and placed strategically on a piece of furniture to give it that special touch. And then we also added an upholstery strip to it. So now it becomes part of everyday living.
What's your vision? Are you looking to expand, to grow? Are we going to see another shop in another town called Seekers?
Yeah, good question. I've been thinking about opening something else, but I've always been told that I should run a good shop. That was one of the things that people keep telling me. don't expand until you've got this shop down right. And that's what we're trying to do every day. We come in and say, do we need more local artists? Do we need more vendors? Do we need to get different types of furniture in here? It's been a long road, and I think we're on the right one. We're on the right path. So opening a new store, that could be something down the line, but right now we want this store to be up and running, and we want people to know about us here.
Bring your imagination to Seekers and let it go wild. With an option to buy as is or refurbished, you can choose from a wide variety of knob collections, colors, furniture, and techniques. Well, thank you for joining us this morning for Good Morning Wareham. The show just concluded. We are not going to be here on Monday, but we'll be back on Wednesday and Friday as usual. If you missed this morning's episode, this will re-air this evening at 6 p.m. Also go on our YouTube, Wareham Community Television YouTube, where you can find today's website, today's episode and others in the past. Things to look forward to for this weekend. Well, Scott Record is going to be at the Elks Club tomorrow. That's the poster there with some details. Tickets are still on sale. You can stop by. If you do not know about Scott Records, I really advise you to go on YouTube and Google him. He is a great entertainer, and you're not going to be disappointed. So I will be there as well. Wareham Week, Nadia Karitnikova is going to be there to cover the event too. So do not wait to read about it on the paper, rather than just go and find out for yourself. Apart from that, well, I hope to be bumping to you here and there. If you like the show, tell me how you liked it and tell me what to improve. So thank you so much, Wareham, and have a pleasant weekend. Bye.